as educators need to apply, because we always work on things that need to be done in order to better off the education, better off the learning process of our students. So I'm here to share a little bit about something that is tremendous, powerful, and it's a course to deal with it, but I can give you an introduction and probably we can discuss about it because it's something that is really worth it. And if you let me share my screen, I should start with this. Okay, so the question that sometimes we need to ask every time that we start our classes, thinking about that we are dealing with minds, is how to nourish the minds in order to be alert to learn. So the question is, how are you today? How are you today? And the answer, is it always I'm fine? We have the possibility to have students that they are not fine. So what should we do in order then to be fine for us, in order then to be fine, to be present in our class? What should we do in order then to have the interest to be, not only to be at the beginning of our class, but to remain up to the end of our class with that big energy and aptitude that we need to contagiate as educators, as professors, as teachers? Because if we are not energetic, we cannot pretend that they are going to be energetic, because we have to be a mirror for them. So if we are really energetic, because what is emotion? Emotion is energy in motion. We need to move. And I always start my classes telling them, okay, you are ready to move? Yes, so stretch. No matter if it is early in the morning, or if it's in the afternoon or at night. Stretching is also great because you feel the muscles of your body. And it's important yourself to feel yourself first before telling others to see you how you feel. You have to feel great. So we have to start feeling great. And it is important to apply this. The NLP, Neuro-Linguistic Programming. Oh, but what is this of neuro-linguistic programming, which is so called nowadays? Many people talk about this. And why do many people talk about this? Because it should be something important, something worthy to be applied, not only in life, but also involving our classes. Well, let's start by saying that the A stands for neuro. And neuro is the thinking process, the way you use senses to understand things happening around. Then we go for the L. The L is linguistic. What is linguistic? We know that your language is the way you use language and how it influences you and those around. And the P stands for programming. And the programming is that your behavior, behavior is very important. Sure, it is. The way you organize ideas and actions, which produces expected and unexpected results. This is very important, expected and unexpected results. When we do our lesson plan, we start organizing our lesson plan. We think about possible problems that we are going to face in the class. And that is that, expected and unexpected results as well. Then, and we go, in other words, to say that neuro is the way we use senses to create, understand our experience of the world. And the linguistic is the way we communicate with others and with self, which is very important because the class is all about communication, the way the professor, the way the teacher, the way the educator needs to communicate with their students, and the way they have to communicate with us. And the programming is the resultant behavior of the connection between language and neurons. Language and neurons. This is very important. So now we understand why the NLP means to us. So the neurolinguistic programming in the English language teaching remote classes, how do we apply this? How do we apply the NLP for our remote classes? And we can start saying that the neurolinguistic programming has been around in language teaching longer than we may realize. Those teachers who incorporate elements such as Sopedia, community language, learning, music, drama, and body language into their lessons are already drawing the neurolanguage programming as it stood 20 years ago. So you are already using neurolanguage programming. But now we know that how it is called, the way we use the community language learning, which is important. Do you use music in your classes? Do you use drama and body language? Yes, you are already applying this. So if we take a look at that neurolanguage programming is dynamic, is energetic. We talk about the roadmaps, behavior, and the concepts. In this the programming that you have your behavior, the way you organize your ideas and actions, which produce expected and unexpected results, as we have mentioned before. So we are just reviewing what we have just seen in the neuro, your thinking process, the way you use the senses to understand what is happening around you. You see, the way you use your senses to understand what is happening around you. Students need to understand what is happening around them. And then linguistics, when you have your words, the way you use the language, and how it influences you and those around you. So we have the roadmaps, the behavior, and the concepts together in a dynamic and synergetic way. So in this, we need to have in mind that we need to be creative, workflow ideas. So this is that we have to apply in the learning process, right? Inspiration, that's development and strategy, always the key. What is the key of good learning? The goals that we need to achieve in every class, in the whole period, the whole term, the whole semester. When we talk about the evaluation, the summative evaluation, the formative evaluation. So that is what we have to apply, how creative we need to be in order to give good assessment to our students. How is it so far? Can you have some reactions? Do you get the idea so far? You have some reactions on your Zoom, yes? I can see your reactions. If it is so far, if you have some doubts, so like we can stop for a while and we can ask a doubt so far. Do you have any doubts? Is it correct? Is it so clear? Or, well, let me see your reactions. No matter if I don't see your faces. I tell my students, no problem. If I don't see your faces, you can be hidden because we are playing hide and seek sometimes. No, okay. So we can go on, right? You can have some reactions with your band. There is yes, there is a way you can react, not with your cameras off. You can react. Yes. Anyway, thank you, Taranjit. Excellent. You are reacting because you have your camera on. Great. Okay, let's go on then. So the roots of the neural language programming. What are the roots of the neural language programming? This is I have some text, as I told you before, this is lots of information, but I just have some abstract for you. I have summarized some big information, large information to put this up to say that neuro-language programming, and also you can have some shots, you can have some snapshots of these screens, so you can have this, but no problem. You really want, I can give you a copy of this presentation with all the information for you to save. Not a problem. If you request, I can do it. I'm here for you. Then the neurolanguage programming. So with its roots of psychology, interesting, right? So psychology, because we talk about behavior, we mentioned about behavior. So psychology is involved. And since we were at university preparing to be teachers, preparing to be educators, we had psychology subjects there, right? So we have to understand how the mind works of our teenagers, depending on your students, children, adolescents, young adults, adults, and even in Peru, we say tercera edad for elderly people. We call third age. All right? Okay. But there are people who don't like to be called, they are in the third age. They are called forever young, always. They like that. Good. So, then we have that psychology and neurology. So it's about the way the brain works and how the brain can be trained, how the brain can be trained for the purpose of betterment. It encompasses or is related to left, right brain functions, visual, auditory, kinesthetic learning styles, multiple intelligence, and other areas of research, which are attempting to identify modes of learning whilst recognizing the importance of individual learners. So, do you already know what style you have? Are you visual? Are you auditory? Or are you kinesthetic? Do you already know how you learn best? Have you thought about that? Do you have an idea how many of your students are visual? How many of your students are auditory? How many of your students are kinesthetic? So they like to do things, they like to touch the things, they like to have them in front of them in order to learn best. So we in the classrooms apply the three of them, because we cannot sectorize. Okay, today we're going to have a class for visual students only, and the others tomorrow. All right? No, you cannot do this. So you have to use different strategies to involve the three of them in one class. All right? So different moments. Yeah, good. Then we can talk and say that neuro-language programming and related subjects have their subjects. Of course, particularly in terms of general classroom applicability and how neuro-language programming is commercially marketed as a method of self-improvement. Yeah, we have to be careful because neuro-language programming can be used only for marketing purposes, but it's more than that. It goes beyond that because neuro-language programming has been labeled as quasi-science. It means it's not a science itself, or can also be called as fake science. But actually, even though it is criticized on the grounds of lack of empirical studies, but there are some reasons why neuro-language programming is compatible with current classroom practice. And the neuro-language programming is about recognizing patterns, for example. Patterns. And we in the learning process, we have patterns. We follow patterns, especially in language and in math and some others like physics or chemistry. So neuro-language programming is concerned with process rather than content. Process, this is important. Process instead of content. And the neuro-language programming provides a model of how we communicate with ourselves and others. how we communicate with ourselves and others. Important. Then we have the neurolanguage programming and the language learning. So what is the match of these two? Then, and we can mention that the neurolanguage programming model explains how we process information which comes to us from the outside and is based on the work of Richard Bandler. He is the one, and John Grinder, they both initiated this. So they initially recognized the importance of the eye contact and movement in identifying emotional states and how, rather than what, individuals think. So it is important to know. So they stated this is how, rather than what, individuals think, right? So it is important because, as we have mentioned, it's about process. Process. It's not what, but how they think. It is very, very, very deep, actually. In neurolanguage programming, information arrives via the senses, and 6 modalities are identified as ways that different individuals perceive their messages. So what are these 6 modalities? Let's talk about one, the visual remembered. How many things you remember, things that you have seen? Didn't it happen to you that you first meet a person and you think that that face is familiar to you? Did it happen to you? It happened to me. Even if you went for the first time to a place and you think, I have been here before. So your brain has that much in familiarizing. That probably was similar to another one that you were in. Not the same, but you okay, it looks familiar to me, right? So it's the visual memories. And this very important what you remember visually. And the visual constructed. Construct is to build. So sometimes it even happened to you that there was an exercise that they gave you an image and they tell you how many faces do you see in that image. And if you look thoroughly, you can see 3, 4, 5 faces. Even on Facebook, I can find every time, yeah, exercises for the brain, they say. Okay, interesting. And what else? The auditory remember. Oh, this is interesting. And all of us, human beings, remember songs. Because the songs, and that is the neurolanguage programming, is like you have sets. It means that you have a song and you immediately recognize it and you match it with the remembrance, with something in your memory for your childhood, for example, for your adolescence. It's very normal. It's very normal to have this, all right? You yourself have a song or something you remember. For example, if you grew in a farm, what will you remember? The cow's sound, right? I tell you something. Here in Lima, Peru, actually, my neighborhood, the other day, I heard that the cows moan, right? They say, oh. And it was really similar to the one that I heard when I visited a relative of mine in the farm. I said, what? It's crazy. And what happened? There was a street vendor with, he was playing the original sound of the cow. So it was the way to draw the attention of the neighbors here. Yeah, interesting. So I mean, oh my God, I remembered my relative. When I first heard that a month ago because he walks here every morning. But when I heard that 1 month ago, oh, immediately my brain went to the farm time in that particular visit. Interesting how it works. And the auditory, remember, oh, it's repeated, I'm sorry. The auditory digital. The auditory digital. It's something like when you play the keyboard, yes, is no? When you want to, do you like music? Do you like to play something? Okay, so digital, it means you play, for example, the keyboard, and oh, this sound, if I press this key, is going to be, that sound comes out, and so you have to remember. So that should be very auditory. And what the digital is about kinesthetic, of course. Yes, it's do, learning by doing. Have you heard that? Learning by doing. Yes, interesting. Lots of kinesthetic is to apply things and to learn, to have that from the short-term memory to the long-term memory. How? By practicing, having that in mind. And it is important to have, for example, in the language learning, it is important to have these things immediately in the short-term memory, how they pass to the long-term memory. So by practicing, not only in the classroom, right? If you have only classes once a week, yes, how can you engage your students to keep on practicing from one week to the other week? Right, you need to have strategies and to have some ways to make them be involved in what you want as a result. So this clearly forms the basis of what we know, what we now know as VAK, which is the identification of visual, auditory, and kinesthetic learners, and the need to cater for different learning styles in the classroom. Okay. This is magic. These are different learning styles. Because sometimes the curricula is thought for one set of students. But we have to apply this. And you have heard about multi-intelligence, yes? And we said we started by 7, then we have 8, and then we apply more because we have also the spiritual. Have you heard that we also have the spiritual intelligence, emotional intelligence, spiritual intelligence? Interesting. Okay. So, and externality. So as externalities arrive, our perception of this is modified by 3 major elements: dilation, distortion, and generalization. These processes are instantly recognized in language learning. Okay, we are going to see one by one. What is dilation? Dilation, there's too much information for the learner to handle. You yourself as learners, because I consider myself a lifelong learner. I learn every day. I'm learning from you now. So we as learners, how can we cope with lots of information, right? So we need to know that learners delete or omit some information in order to make input manageable. From the teacher's point of view, we have already learned not to present too much new language at once, and the principle of less is more. Have you heard that? Less is more? Yes. Yes, that is important. Less is more because we need to classify the information that we're going to give our students. Yes. It's like today, I had to classify lots of information about your language programming to bring you. Okay, you see lots of letters here on the slide. Yes, but that is something that I could summarize for you. And then we can talk about that summary. So, and distortion. The language learners will distort information into forms which are understandable and learnable. This process is both, okay, negative, in that it produces errors and misunderstandings, and positive in that it contributes to learnability and motivation. Yeah, sure. So we have to discriminate which is negative and which is positive. And the generalization talk about, so this is one of the ways that we learn, by taking the information we have and drawing broad conclusions. As it works, overgeneralization occurs, causing misuse of rules and poorly formed hypotheses. So is overgeneralization. So everything in excess is not good, right? So we need to have moderate. You have to be moderating what the information we have, what we're going to give. For example, as a language instructor, language teacher, language professor, or language giver, sometimes I call myself, because I give to the target language, a foreign language. And what is that? What is the thoughts, or what are the thoughts of the students who are in the very first stage of class of the English class, okay? And the teacher comes and starts speaking English from the beginning to the end, and but in a normal way, okay. But how much of that information that you are giving, okay, all right, you can start saying good morning because it's very common. Everybody remembers what good morning is because we have had English classes since kindergarten, his preschool, elementary, and high school. So at university, English one subject is teachers say good morning and everybody understands good morning. But how about, and you continue talking, oh yeah, yesterday I had a great day. How do you feel today? Today is a great day too. Are you happy? Okay, the students are going to try to process all the information. And the teacher said, no, but they need to think that they are in the United States. They need to be involved in the language. Yeah, sure, but not in a very shocking way. Little by little, you can start, you can speak thoroughly in English the whole class, but you have to go in their speed. It's lesson 1, his first lesson, the verb to be. So you say, okay, I am Ruben. I am happy. Yes, like children, right? They're not going to get disturbed. They're going to get mad. Teacher, I am 19 years old, please. No, the purpose is they have to learn, and we need to use strategies. That is the purpose of the class. Yes or no? Good. What is actually learned by individuals is dictated by their own personal filters. Personal filters, how you personally adapt yourself to some new information. So that neurolanguage programming identifies these as beliefs, values, decisions, and memories. Broadly defined as the way someone handles information, because all is information. The information is the core. Information is the core of everything, of science, of whatever. That is information. We are here for information. The Zoom exists because we need information. We share information. We get information. We give information. Everything goes around information. So we need to know how to process this. So in neurolanguage programming, these filters affect our model of the world and our behavior. Again, in language learning, for example, they explain a wide range of learning styles and strategies. And we know that. We also know that the learners make decisions based on beliefs and value judgments. They are often in a state of conflict because Their previous learning experiences do not coincide with their current learning environment. We also have this strategy to bring back previous learning experiences when we are going to introduce a new topic, a new theme in the classroom. We call for previous learning experiences, right? If we are going to learn, for example, vocabulary about, in English, about trips, about the vocabulary, for example, airport, luggage area, luggage claim area, those stuff, station hostess or stewardess, okay, vocabulary in the, so you have to recall them. Okay, do you remember when you travel? Yes. And the person who attended you to ask you for your passport, or, okay, so you go on and then you introduce vocabulary. All right. Even probably they don't remember what plane is. All right. You say plane. What is it? Huh? Yes, you use your hand. Oh, I always prepare planes, paper planes. I prepare paper planes to explain vocabulary. Yes. And I say, okay, I am inside. Okay, the stewardess is with me. Hey, and then take off, land, right? Crash. Why not? It's part of the vocabulary. Okay, well, so that is what we need. So values provide the basis for decisions about what is right and wrong. What they want, need to know. Okay, what they want and what they need to know. And don't want and they don't need to know. In certain cultures, some beliefs are disabling in that they prevent learners adopting strategies such as risk-taking with teachers who would like to encourage. And this happens, for example, when we use, we use books in English to teach English, but they were printed out and they were created in other scenarios, in other realities. We in Peru, we live in a country which is this underdeveloped country, all right? But the books were edited in Europe, in the United States. And somehow we have to bring that reality. We have to use the vocabulary, but to put them into our real context in Peru. And that is what is going to motivate them. Why I'm talking about New York if they don't have the money to visit New York? Not even the professor has the money to visit New York. So how can they pretend they like New York if I don't know New York? But they know their neighborhoods. They know Lima City. We can talk about what we have here. And comparison to another place like New York, for example, but we have to motivate them being involved in here, in their context, that is important. And that the interest will be aroused. Then the memories and the prior decisions create beliefs which affect our current behavior. Learners often revert to previously adopted strategies and require the conditioning. While it can be argued that adult learning patterns merely replace early learning strategies which have been forgotten. Well, let me tell you that the learning strategies are classified according to the age you are teaching. You know that. Children, adolescents, because in androgy is the science is how we teach adults, right? So we need methodology, we need different things to work. But I tell you a secret, and it is the first time I reveal, okay? My secret is that I teach everyone as children, especially in languages, yeah? And they enjoy it. Yes, I play with them some games for kids in language learning. I show them some images that I show the kids as well. and they like, and we have a good result. The outcome is excellent. And they remember, especially the ones that are visuals. Yes, sure. Then the neurolanguage programming also recognizes the importance of nonverbal communication. Right, it's important nonverbal communication, particularly eye contact, posture, breathing, and movement. Breathing is important. That's why we have the so-called these techniques that that you have, for example, in order to breathe, to relax, mindfulness. Mindfulness is so called, right? So we have understand that breathing is really important for the learning process as well, and for the communication, right? Breathing, in order not to be lack of air when you are talking. No, you need to breathe. You need to administrate. You need to manage your breathing, the way you talk also. Then, and that is that what you have congruency is achieved when there is a match between verbal and nonverbal communication. Yes, there must be a match. Now, I'm going to do an exercise with you. Okay? You are going to do what I say. It's like Simon says. All right? Now, we have two cameras on. I'm going to play with you too. No problem. Okay, raise your right hand. Okay, very good. And look at the ceiling. I got you. I told you, look at the ceiling. You had to do this. But you followed me. You see? So it works or it doesn't work. You know the brain, how powerful it is? Okay, so you have to be, nonverbal and verbal communication, because in other ways, we can be confusing. And I prove it today. Yes. Okay. So congruence here may have a language learning parallel in the concept of fluency, suggesting that nonverbal communication should be taught alongside functional language and phonology in order to achieve natural language production. That is what we need. Natural language production. And I always tell my students, at first you have to exaggerate the sounds because those sounds we don't have in Spanish. But little by little, practice makes perfect. It will be natural. It will be natural as much as you practice. Sure. Then we have the U, F, A, and D for what? And the U stands for understand, important. So what we need to understand is this, understand how people organize their feelings, their thinking, their behavior. Yes, this is for understand. The F stands for furnish. What is furnish? Furnish with the techniques needed to model exceptional performances. To model exceptional performances. Because we, as professors, we are models. Yes, so we have to apply this. And the A is for analyze. They have to analyze what? The formation of internal mind maps, and are based on how humans perceive information that is picked up by the life senses. And at the end, we have develop for learn the language of the mind to enable personal development in all areas of life. Yes, this is the key. All areas of life, because what you learn must be helpful for all areas of life. You have to bring the class into life. Am I going to use what I'm learning? Is it really important for me to learn now if I'm not going to use it for the future? You see? That's why my concern is that since the very beginning, we need to teach our students to be ready for life. To be ready for life. Okay, if it is language, more valuable. Then, the neurolanguage programming in the classroom. Teachers using music to create atmosphere and stimulate creativity, or using mime and drama. There is another thing that is very common nowadays, is storytelling. And storytelling is using marketing as well. Because they knew it works. And we language teachers, language professors, language educators, we use storytelling. When we talked about a scenario, we talk about a situation, we give lots of emotion to when we are teaching children, no? Yes, and the superhero arrives and he caught the thief. That's it. It's a drama. And what else? We say language to speech acts are already drawing from the neurolanguage repertoire. Only recently, however, have classroom activities specifically and overtly based on neurolanguage programming been developed by English language teachers, practitioners. Yes, because they are applying something that is very valuable. And many of these activities also integrate the skills and are extensions of modifications of existing techniques, such as I said before, storytelling, guided fantasy, role play, and simulation. I don't know if it happened to you, but in the beginning of my experience of teacher, I did not have a good time giving role playing to my students. I felt that they were acting like robots or something like that. They were just following a pattern, but they were not feeling what they were doing. Yes. Okay, now you are the doctor and you are the patient. Okay, the dialogue. Then switch. That's it. Okay, go to your seats and then the next. You know? Instead of doing that, what I did with my experience, I created a play. Really? Serious? Yes. We had acting out, a play. I created a play. I like movie making. So I thought I was a director of a yeah, but it worked and I enjoyed it. As I said before, no matter the age, everyone enjoys that. Visual, auditory, kinesthetic, because you apply all. Yeah, you apply all in this. Then areas where neurolanguage programming can have a real impact. We need impact, however, are those which explore the relationships between students and between students and teachers, and those which help to create a healthy and positive learning environment. Healthy, healthy is important. That's why I continue working from home, because we are in Peru still with a lockdown. Healthy classroom. We need that. Okay, great. So rapport. What is the rapport? The rapport is that connection. A rapport is the sense of ease that develops when people are interacting with others they feel comfortable with. Yes, the people that interact with others, they have to be comfortable with. And is essential for meaningful communication to take place. Rapport is most likely when like-minded
I think sir is having some network issue with him. So we'll just wait for him to come back. Or if is there anybody else who would like to add on something in the today's session, that is NLP. Sir is again once again with us, I think. Sir, your
I'm sorry, I think I lost connection, right?
yes, sir.
Okay, no problem. I can go on with my cell phone. Yes, I'm ready for this. Okay, so I was telling you that the one way of establishing good rapport is to mirror the behavior of those we wish to influence or to be influenced by. Mirroring of posture generates facial expressions, and certain breathing can easily be practiced in the classroom. While simply drilling achieves the same results with the phonological features of connected speech of key lexical phrases. Okay, breathing. And then, so what we need to achieve natural communication, verbal, non-verbal aspects need to be combined in communicative activities. Learners may be asked what? To mirror the behavior of characters on television, therefore mirroring each other and teacher. So this is important what we have, and we need to create positive states and anchoring. Anchoring, what do we need by that? Because this is about motivation and maintaining positive what? Positive attitudes to learning. This is very important to know because that we need to apply, what we need to apply here is, wait a minute, I want to try to return to our base. But let's continue talking about this neurolanguage programming is that we have the pacing and leading, which is a set of strategies requiring the listener to tune in, accept and correctly state the speaker's point of view. That's very interesting, before suggesting an alternative point of view. So this is what we need to apply, and I'm going to return with my computer to our room. Wait a minute, I just go on. Okay. Okay, so I connect with this and I continue sharing. Okay, so let me in. Excellent, yeah. I'm back. Okay, I don't know. Probably the cow was passing. I think that there was some interaction. Okay, then let's continue with my sharing. Okay, this is about my sharing is here. Okay, good. So we need to have our perceptual positioning. This is an extension of mirroring using neurolanguage programming for resolving conflicts and involving a neutral third party as a mediator in disputes. So an ELT application here would be in a reading or storytelling. There is perceptual positioning, reading and storytelling lesson, where one position is taken by the writer, teller, another by the character in story, and the third by the reader or neutral observer of events. And at the end, we have modeling good practice. The neurolanguage programming asks us to mirror what others do well. Yes, in the English language teaching, much of this about learning training, particularly when learners discover each other's strategy or adopt new study skills for revision and examination preparation, for example. Then we have, in a summary, the N stands for neuro. And neuro deals with your thinking processes, the way you use your senses to understand what's happening around you. The L stands, okay, the P for programming. So your behavior, how you organize your ideas and reactions and how this affects you and others. You see? Behavior, the way you organize your ideas and reactions, and how this affects you and others. And then linguistic, the words, that your words, how you use language and how it influences you and those around you. That about linguistics. So if we take into account everything that we have just said in the neuro, is that we say that thinking pattern, the neuron is a thinking pattern, coding of experiences by the brain, and learning. What else? We have thinking affects results, thinking affects our experience, and the linguistic, we have the using persuasive language, then understanding the mind's language, understanding body language, using advanced tools of verbal and non-verbal communication to get desired responses, creating an improvement thinking strategies in programming. You know, programming is important. And what do we have in programming is creating and improving thinking strategies. Thinking strategies, using thought patterns to get desired results. Achieve excellence. This is the magic word, no? Excellence. And resolve problems by using brain in a positive manner. A good mindset. Well, all in all, in the neurolinguistic programming, your thinking process, the neuro, is your thinking process, the way you see your senses to understand what's happening around you. We need to tell our students what's happening around them is important. Your words and their words, how we use language and how it influences you and those around you, your students. And the end, the programming is about your behavior as well, how you organize your ideas and reactions, and how this affects you and others, how you organize your ideas and reactions. So that is why, if you are dealing with human beings, how you organize your class, how it will have a good reaction on your students. That is what we need to foresee. We are planning our lessons. Very, very important. Then, in the conclusion, we can say that whether one is a discipline of neurolanguage programming or not, what is clear is that neurolanguage programming and English language teaching are completely in that neurolanguage programming learns by observing communication patterns. And English language learner learns, English language teaching learns from what neurolanguage programming suggests as best practice in improving interpersonal communication. That is part of interpersonal and therefore learning. There is nothing in neurolanguage programming that is contrary to current English language teaching methodology in terms of communicative language learning and humanistic approaches. Interesting point, humanistic approaches. While neurolanguage programming has much to contribute to the already vast repertoire of the informed eclectic, you know, that is what is the combination of different things, of different methodologies, and you apply one and you have one in the end. That's why, for example, when I have lots of information about neurolanguage programming, mindfulness, yoga, and all of this, that it's important to nourish brains in order to have impact classes, which mean memorable once, this is to apply. Some reference, and I'm going to let you with this, Rebel and Norman, In Your Hands Survive. So these are books. And I'm going to leave you for today with this great quote by Brian Herbert. The capacity to learn is a gift. The ability to learn is a skill. The willingness to learn is a choice. So motivate your students to have the willingness to learn, as I can motivate you to have the willingness to stay here from the beginning to the end of my lecture. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, sir, for the wonderful explanation. And it was so easy to understand because you have connected NLP with our own life as an educator. And we have really realized, in our common, life, we realize these examples are part of it. And, audio visual learners, they are all very important for us. And if we know the learning style of our children, I think it will become so easy for us to teach them well. So it is equally important that we as an educator need to understand our own learning style and teaching style as an individual. So that if I'm a visual learner, it does not make any change in my teaching style. If my child is auditory or kinesthetic, I need to go through the details as per requirement of that particular child, because his or her learning style is that. So if I know well my child, if I know the requirement, if I know his or her learning styles, I think we can do wonders in the field of education. So that was all about the today's purpose of this session. And sir, believe me, you have done a wonderful contribution in today's session. Thank you so much for your wonderful inputs and valuable time for us. And I would request you, few people, they are requesting me to share the PPT. So if you could mail me, will help me a lot.
Sure, no problem. And you can also find me on Facebook as Ruben Speak Up Australia. Just in case.
If you want to be in touch with sir, you can let me know. I'll help you to get connected. Because we all are learners and we need to work together. And sir is there. He's very kind enough that he accepted our invitation to be with us and to interact with us, to share his knowledgeable, things in the field of education. He's an expert of NLP in education. Sir, I have seen many sessions of yours online. And once again, thank you for being with us.
Thanks to you for the invitation. Yes, I will kindly join you some other time. Not a problem for me.
Sure. So looking forward for a few more sessions with you, sir. Once again, thank you so much. Stay home, stay safe, and stay connected with SK Educare India.
Yes, my pleasure.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir. Bye-bye.
So much, sir. Wonderful session, and you are wearing a beautiful color. Love.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks for your kind words.
Because I have observed that this
it was really nice, really nice. Thank you so much for the session.
All this work with the slow learners, it's very
Yeah.
good. Yeah, with the slow learners, this works a lot, and especially while working in group, in drama through playing the music, and all these with slow learners, it works a lot.
I always say something. I involve slow and fast learners in a marathon, in a learning marathon. It's like when you run in a marathon, you have all kinds of runners, slow and fast, but they all participate in the marathon and they all get to the finish line. And that is the purpose of learning.
Finish. You cannot,
true.
cannot exclude them. Yeah, you cannot exclude them.
Right.
It's true. Very good. Thank you.
It's very
Yes, ma'am. Would you like to add on something?
Yeah, ma'am. Good evening to everyone. Yeah, it was really a very wonderful and interactive session. And the concept of art integrated studies, what sir has actually shown through, like ma'am has said it very correctly, using different art forms in the form of dancing, or the music or the drama, as whatever form it may be, actually brings the children closer, not only just to the culture, but yes, always make them feel connected to their regional or the state culture and tradition, and simultaneously children enjoy that. And that is what is the beauty of this education, that the children are enjoying the education, and this is how they keep on growing. So it was really very nice, sir. Very nicely you have explained everything, and thank you so much for being a trainer today. And thanks to Sapna ma'am, always she is always bringing such a vibrant, I can say, speakers always for all the participants. And really it is always a visual treat to see such people in front of us who are so inspiring and eminent personalities. So thank you so much, Sapna ma'am. Just keep on rocking in the same way, and let us be, let all the participants get connected globally during this online sessions in the pandemic. So thank you so much once again to everyone, and it was really very nice, ma'am. Have a good day. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat. Thank you.
Very nice.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your wonderful feedback. It gives us, boost, and it helps us to, develop our own immunity so that we can,
You don't need a boost. You are a booster. You are a power pack, all in together. One performer.
You are giving us immunity, Sapna ma'am. Thanks for that.
Sure.
Yes, yes.
everything
We
is
are
good.
actually emotionally connected, so Zoom understood this about emotions, that we have our reactions here and we can have different reactions here.
This is all have happened positively, and it could be executed because I have a very good well wishers with me, like you people. Believe me, alone we cannot do anything, but together we can do a lot. So the purpose of these sessions are just to connect people together, so we can really transform the true education in to our upcoming generation. The purpose of it. And sir, once again, thank you so much for giving your valuable time to us. And we really thankful for you. And I'm specifically thankful for all the participants to help me and to support me to organize such events. Interact live. It seems like we are really learning together. When we are involved, we are connected. This is what exactly required in the classroom. If we are connected with our students, I think syllabus is not a big thing. Syllabus is just a number of chapters. If we are connected with the students, really, I think syllabus is not a big deal, that can be covered so nicely and completely. So once again,
Yes,
we have.
and speaking about connection, I appreciate too much Anju, because she is connected no matter she's in open air.
Sir, thank you so much.
The element and the atmosphere always matters a lot. And as ma'am knows, like we all are having such a busy schedule, and out of that also we feel, that is what I'm saying, this the global connection actually has made the things so easy for everyone. You can get down anywhere, and most of the sessions I have always been attending while traveling only. So it is always into the open nature, and you enjoy not only the session, but yes, it is an added on flavor into that. So thank you so much, sir, for the lovely compliment, and thank you so much, ma'am.
All right. Okay, thank you all. Thank you a lot, and see you some other time. My pleasure. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, sir. Thank you so much.